The great hall of the Galactic Council was filled with angry voices. Beings from 47 different worlds sat in their special seats, each made for their own kind. Some were tall and thin like walking sticks. Others were short and round like living rocks. A few glowed with their own light, while some were covered in scales or fur. In the corner of the room, Ambassador Jake Harrison sat with his small human team. His gray hair was neat, and his blue uniform was clean and pressed. He did not speak or move much. He just listened to the others talk about his people. The Zeltheran Prime Minister stood up. He was green and had 4 arms. His voice was loud and harsh. "Humans are too dangerous," he said. "They grow too fast. They want too much space. They cannot be trusted." Other aliens nodded their heads. Some made clicking sounds with their mouths. Others flashed different colors to show they agreed. Harrison's helper, Lisa Carter, sat next to him. She was young and had brown hair tied back. She wrote notes on a small computer. Every few minutes, she would lean over and whisper to Harrison. The numbers were not good. More and more aliens were voting against humans. The Corvin delegate spoke next. He looked like a giant insect with silver skin. "Humans break our trade deals," he said. "They sell things too cheap. They make our businesses fail." A being made of purple crystals added, "Human soldiers practice fighting near our worlds. They scare our children. Why do they need so many weapons?" Harrison watched each speaker. His face showed nothing. He had been a soldier before becoming a diplomat. He knew how to stay calm when others were angry. The Phi's Empire representative was next. She was tall and had blue skin that seemed to glow. "Humans learn our secrets too fast," she complained. "They copy our technology. They make it better. This is not fair." More aliens stood up to speak against humans. Each one had a different complaint. Humans were too smart. Humans were too brave. Humans asked too many questions. Humans did not follow old rules. Lisa Carter counted the votes on her computer. She whispered to Harrison again. "Sir, it looks bad. Most of them will vote yes." Harrison nodded slowly. He had expected this. For months, he had seen the signs. The other species were afraid of humans, not because humans were evil, but because humans were different. Speaker Vorthak called for quiet. He was made of living crystal and was very tall. His voice sounded like wind chimes. "Does anyone else wish to speak before we vote?" Harrison stood up. The room became silent. Everyone looked at him. He walked to the center of the room, where speakers usually stood. His steps were slow and steady. "Honor members of the council," Harrison began. His voice was not loud, but everyone could hear him clearly. "I have listened to your concerns about humanity." He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of as many delegates as he could. "You say we grow too fast. This is true. Humans like to explore. We like to build new homes. We do not do this to hurt you." Some aliens shifted in their seats. A few made soft sounds. "You say we are too aggressive. Yes, humans know how to fight. We fought wars on our own world before we came to space. But we also fought beside you against the void entities. Human soldiers died to protect your worlds." Harrison paused. He thought of the human soldiers who had given their lives in the last war. Good people like Captain Roy Martinez and Commander Beth Adams. They had died saving alien civilians. "You say we learn too fast and share too little. But human doctors helped cure the Red Plague that killed millions of Altarians. Human engineers designed the shields that protect vegan colonies from solar storms. Human farmers taught the Centauri how to grow food on their desert worlds." The room was very quiet now. Some aliens looked uncomfortable. "You say we cannot be trusted. For 50 years, humans have kept every treaty we signed. We have shared our medical knowledge. We have helped settle disputes between your species. We have asked for nothing but the chance to be part of this community." Harrison picked up a small device from the speaker's table. It showed the voting results. "I see that most of you have already decided. You wish to limit human expansion. You want to control our trade. You want to reduce our voice in this council." He set the device down gently. "The human delegation accepts your decision. We understand that you no longer wish us to be full members of this community. Speaker Vorthack's crystal body made a ringing sound. Ambassador Harrison, this is not about membership. It is about making rules that keep peace. Harrison looked up at the tall crystal being. Speaker Vorthack, with respect, it is exactly about membership. You are telling us we cannot be trusted with the same rights as other species. The vote was called. One by one, the species voted. Most voted yes to the restrictions. Only 13 voted no. The Aquatic Federation, the Insectoid Collective, and a few smaller species supported humans. Harrison gathered his papers slowly. Lisa Carter and the other humans did the same. They moved without rushing, like people who had expected this outcome. As Harrison prepared to leave, he turned back to face the assembly one last time. The room was buzzing with satisfied sounds from the aliens who had won. The human delegation acknowledges the council's decision, Harrison said. His voice was calm and formal. We will be departing within the standard galactic week to reassess our position in this community. He paused for a moment, looking at the faces around him. We wish you all well in your future endeavors. Harrison and his team walked out of the chamber. Their footsteps echoed in the sudden quiet. Behind them, the aliens began to talk among themselves. Many seemed pleased. They had finally put the troublesome humans in their place. But a few of the older, wiser delegates felt a chill they could not explain. Something in Harrison's tone had sounded final. Something in the way he said goodbye felt like more than just temporary anger. The Aquatic Federation's ambassador, a being of living water, spoke to his aide. I fear we may have just made a terrible mistake. In the corridor outside, Harrison walked steadily toward the human embassy. He did not look back at the council chamber. He had work to do, important work that would change everything. Dr. Amanda Foster was reading reports about human colonies when her computer made a soft beeping sound. She looked at the screen and saw a message from Ambassador Harrison. It was very short and used words that seemed normal, but Amanda knew what they really meant. Protocol 7. Commence immediately. Amanda had hoped she would never see those words. She had helped write Protocol 7 5 years ago. It was a secret plan that only a few humans knew about. The plan was simple but huge. If the alien species ever turned against humanity completely, every human in the galaxy would come home to Earth. Amanda stood up from her desk and walked to the window of her office. Outside, she could see the busy streets of New Geneva on Earth. People walked around, not knowing that everything was about to change. She took a deep breath and started making calls. The first call went to Captain Ben Rodriguez. He was the commander of a big transport ship called New Horizon. Ben was eating lunch when his phone rang. Captain Rodriguez, he answered. Ben, this is Amanda Foster. You need to report to Transport Command right now. Bring your crew. You have new orders. Ben could hear something serious in her voice. He put down his sandwich and grabbed his jacket. On my way, ma'am. Within an hour, Ben learned his job had completely changed. Instead of carrying cargo between alien worlds, he would now pick up humans. Lots of humans. All the humans living in alien space. Amanda sent the same message to hundreds of ship captains. Every human transport ship, cargo vessel, and passenger liner got new orders. They all had the same job now. Bring humans home. The message also went to every human colony, research station, and outpost in the galaxy. The words were different for each place, but the meaning was the same. Pack only what you need. Leave everything else working. Come home to Earth as fast as you can. On the farming world of New Terra, colony leader Paul Wright read the message 3 times. New Terra was home to 50,000 humans. They grew food that fed millions of aliens across the galaxy. Paul had lived on New Terra for 20 years. It was his home, but Paul had also helped write Protocol 7. He knew what would happen if they stayed. The aliens would make life harder and harder for humans. It was better to leave now while they still could. Paul called a meeting of all the colony leaders. He told them about the message. Some people were shocked. Others had been expecting it. They all knew what to do. We leave in 4 days, Paul announced. Take your family photos, your important papers, and 1 bag of clothes. Everything else stays here. The colonists worked fast. They packed their most important things. They set the farming machines to keep working by themselves. They made sure the alien workers who helped them knew how to take care of the crops. On the fourth day, transport ships landed in the fields around New Terra's main city. The humans climbed aboard with their small bags. Many were crying as they looked back at the homes they were leaving behind. Paul was the last human to leave New Terra. He stood in his empty house and looked around one more time. Then he locked the door and walked to the waiting ship. The same thing happened on hundreds of worlds. On the mining planet of Kepler, 442b, Supervisor Carl Murphy watched his workers pack up. The mining machines would keep digging by themselves. The alien companies would get their medals. But no humans would be there to fix problems or make improvements. Carl had worked in the mines for 15 years. He knew every machine, every tunnel, every safety system. But he also knew that humans were no longer welcome in alien space. Keep the machines running, he told the alien workers who would stay behind. The instruction books are in the main office. The alien workers nodded, but Carl could see they were worried. The machines were complicated. Without humans to help, things might go wrong. On research stations across the galaxy, human scientists packed up their personal belongings but left their work behind. Dr. Helen Brooks was studying a disease that killed many different alien species. Her research was almost finished. She could have saved millions of lives. But Dr. Brooks also packed her bags. She copied all her research onto computer drives and left them for the alien scientists. Maybe they could finish the work. Maybe not. I hope you can understand my notes, she told her alien assistant, a blue-skinned woman named Kira. Kira looked sad. Dr. Brooks, why are you leaving? Your work is so important. I know, Helen said quietly, but my people are not wanted here anymore. The evacuation was like a giant, quiet dance. Hundreds of ships moved through space, picking up humans from every corner of the galaxy. They did not hurry or panic. They moved slowly and carefully, so the aliens would not notice what was happening right away. Captain Rodriguez made 12 trips in his ship. Each time he picked up families, workers, soldiers, and scientists. His ship was crowded, but everyone was patient. They knew they were going home. The aliens didn't notice that humans were leaving, but they thought it was just a small protest. Surely the humans would come back when they realized how much they needed alien technology and trade. The Zeltheran trade minister called his human business partner Steve Johnson. Steve owned a company that made computer parts for alien ships. Steve, where are your workers? The minister asked. My ships need repairs. I am sorry, Steve said politely. My company is closing our operations in your space. The repair manuals are in your office. The minister was confused. But Steve, we have been partners for 10 years. You cannot just leave. I wish things were different, Steve replied. But they are not. Similar conversations happened all over the galaxy. Human doctors left their alien patients. Human teachers left their alien students. Human engineers left their alien projects. But they did not leave in anger or make threats. They left quietly, politely, and completely. Within 2 weeks, something strange happened. Alien worlds that had been full of human workers, scientists, and traders were suddenly empty of humans. The buildings were still there. The machines still worked. But the humans were gone. Some aliens were happy about this. They had wanted the humans to leave. Others began to feel worried. They had not realized how much work the humans had been doing. On Earth, the returning humans were welcomed with open arms. Temporary housing was built. Jobs were created. Earth's colonies in the Sol system expanded quickly to make room for everyone. Amanda Foster worked 20 hours a day organizing the return. She was tired but proud. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they could lead with dignity. They had not fought or argued. They had simply chosen to go home. But as she looked at the reports coming in from across the galaxy, Amanda began to wonder if the aliens understood what they had lost. The humans had not just been workers or traders. They had been the glue that held much of galactic civilization together. Soon, the aliens would learn this lesson, but by then it would be too late. Senator Krex of the Altarian Republic had not slept well in 3 weeks. His blue skin had turned pale, and his hands shook when he tried to drink his morning tea. The problem that kept him awake was simple but scary. The humans were really gone. Krex stood in front of the emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. The Great Hall looked different now. Many seats were empty because some species were too busy dealing with their own problems to come to meetings. The human factory complex on Proxima 7 has been silent for 18 days. Krex announced the room. His voice was shaky. We have contracts for computer parts that power our ships. The machines are still making the parts, but no human workers answer our calls. Krex had tried everything. He sent messages to the factory every day. He sent alien technicians to check on the machines. The factory was still working, but it was like a ghost town. All the humans had simply disappeared. Other delegates began to speak about similar problems. The Vegan Confederacy had lost their farming advisors. For 5 years, human experts had helped them grow better crops. Now their plants were getting sick, and they did not know how to fix them. Trade Minister Vex of the Centauri Union stood up next. He was a short, round alien with gray skin. Our medical supply contracts have been canceled, he said. The human companies that made our medicines are gone. The factories still work, but no one is there to take our orders or answer our questions. In the back of the room, Ambassador Keltar of the Vegan Confederacy whispered to his aide, "How many human businesses were there in our space?" His aide looked at a computer tablet. "According to our records, sir, humans ran or helped run about 40% of all businesses in vegan space." Keltar felt cold. 40%. How had he not noticed this before? The reports kept coming. The Corvin Empire had lost their shipping coordinators. Human companies had been moving cargo between worlds for years. They knew the best routes, the cheapest prices, and how to avoid dangerous areas of space. Now alien companies were trying to do the same job, but their ships were getting lost, attacked by pirates, or arriving late. Dr. Zara of the Crystalline Collective spoke about the medical crisis. The human research team led by Dr. Helen Brooks was close to curing the Andromedan plague. Their work could have saved millions of lives. But Dr. Brooks left her laboratory and took all her research with her. Zara's crystal body flickered with worry. "We have her notes, but we cannot understand them. Human medicine is very different from ours. Without human doctors to explain, we cannot finish the cure." Speaker Vorthak tried to calm the room. His tall crystal form made ringing sounds as he moved. "Fellow delegates, we must not panic. The humans are simply making a point. They will return when they realize they need us." But Vorthak did not sound sure of his own words. He had been getting reports from his own world. The Crystalline Collective's energy plants were having problems. Human engineers had designed many of the safety systems. Without them, the plants were dangerous to operate. Senator Krex spoke again. "Speaker Vorthak, what if they do not come back? What if this is permanent?" The room became very quiet. For the first time, the alien leaders were thinking about a galaxy without humans. It was a scary thought. On the frontier world of Kepler, 62F, the alien colonists were facing their first major storm season without human help. In the past, human emergency teams had always been the first to arrive during natural disasters. They had the best equipment, the fastest ships, and the most experience saving lives. Governor Thane, a tall alien with green skin, stood on his balcony watching the storm clouds gather. His colony had been hit by 3 major storms in the past year. Each time, human rescue teams had arrived within hours to help. "Sir," his aide said, coming onto the balcony, "the weather service says this storm will be the worst in 10 years. Should we call for human assistance?" Thane looked at his aide sadly. "There are no human assistance teams anymore. We are on our own." The storm hit Kepler. 62F 3 days later. It was terrible. The winds destroyed buildings and flooded the city. Without human rescue teams, the colonists had to save themselves. Many died who might have lived if human help had come. Back on Earth, Commander Alex Turner watched the news reports from his desk in the Defense Ministry. He had been in charge of human emergency response teams for 8 years. He knew every alien world that might need help. Alex wanted to send help to Kepler, 62F, but his orders were clear. Humans were no longer allowed to help alien worlds. They had made their choice at the council meeting. "Sir," his assistant said, "we have 43 emergency calls from different alien worlds. Floods, earthquakes, disease outbreaks, pirate attacks. They all want human help." Alex looked at the list of calls. These were worlds where he had friends, where human teams had saved lives many times before. But humanity was no longer welcome in alien space. "Send them a standard message." Alex said quietly, "Tell them we wish them well, but we cannot provide assistance at this time." The assistant nodded and left the room. Alex sat alone, thinking about the people who would die because human help was not coming. The problem was getting worse every day. The aliens had not realized how much they depended on humans. Humans had not taken over alien businesses or forced their way into alien governments. They had simply been invited to help. And they had done such a good job that everyone had forgotten what life was like without them. Human doctors had learned how to treat diseases in dozens of different alien species. Human engineers had designed systems that only they fully understood. Human traders had built relationships that took years to develop. Human soldiers had trained alien armies and protected alien worlds. All of this was gone now. The machines still worked, but no one knew how to fix them when they broke. The medicines were still being made, but no one knew how to change the recipes when new diseases appeared. The trade routes still existed, but no one knew how to make them profitable. On the water world of Aquatica, the fish farms that fed billions of aliens were starting to fail. Human biologists had spent years learning how to keep the fish healthy. They had developed special foods and medicines that only they knew how to make. Governor Splash, a being made of living water, floated in his office reading reports. The fish were getting sick, and his people did not know how to cure them. "Contact the Human Research Station," he told his aide. "Sir, the Human Research Station has been empty for 2 months. All the humans left." Governor Splash felt himself getting colder. Without the fish farms, his people would starve. "Then contact Earth directly. Offer them anything they want. We need their help." The aide tried to send a message to Earth, but there was no answer. The humans had stopped talking to alien governments completely. As the days passed, more and more alien worlds faced problems they could not solve without human help. The Galactic Council met more often, but they never had good news to share. Speaker Vorthak finally admitted what everyone was thinking. "We may have made a mistake. The humans were not trying to control us. They were trying to help us. And we told them to leave. But it was too late for regrets. The humans were gone, and they were not coming back. The galaxy was about to learn what life was like without the one species that had been holding everything together." 3 months had passed since the last human ship left alien space. Commander Alex Turner sat in his new office on Mars, watching the galaxy fall apart through his computer screens. He could see everything that was happening, but he could not help. Those were his orders. Alex had spent years training alien pilots how to fly their ships better. He had taught them tricks that saved lives and won battles. Now he watched as those same alien fleets crashed into each other during simple training exercises. On his main screen, Alex could see a Corvin training mission going badly wrong. 3 alien ships were trying to practice a basic flying pattern, but they could not do it right. Without human instructors to guide them, the alien pilots were making the same mistakes over and over. "Crash alert," his computer announced. Corvin Training Ship 7 has collided with Training Ship 4. Alex watched the rescue ships rush to help the damaged vessels. No one had died, but both ships were badly hurt. This kind of accident had happened 12 times in the past month. Before the humans left, training accidents were very rare. The problem was not that the aliens were bad pilots. They were good at flying their ships. But humans had taught them how to fly in new ways, how to work together better, and how to avoid dangerous situations. Without human teachers, the aliens were going back to their old methods, which were not as safe or effective. On another screen, Alex could see reports from the Zephyrian Mining Consortium. Their mining production had dropped by 60%. The alien workers were trying their best, but the mining machines were very complex. Human engineers had designed many of the systems, and only they really understood how everything worked together. Mining supervisor Rock stood deep underground on the mining world of Titan 5, staring at a broken machine that used to dig precious metals from the rock. The machine was the size of a building and had thousands of moving parts. "Can you fix it?" Rock asked his best mechanic, a four-armed alien named Grix. Grix looked at the instruction manual that the humans had left behind. The book was thick and full of diagrams that were hard to understand. "I can try, sir, but this machine is very complicated. The humans who built it understood things that are not written in any book." Rock sighed. The humans had not just followed the instruction manuals. They had learned by working with the machines every day for years. They could hear when something was wrong just by listening to the sound the machine made. They could fix problems that were not in any book. Without human engineers, the aliens were learning that the machines broke down more often and took much longer to repair. Some machines had stopped working completely because no one knew how to fix them. The medical crisis was getting worse too. Captain Nicole Warren, who used to be a human military doctor, read the reports from her home on Earth. The Andromedan plague had come back, and it was spreading to new species. Dr. Helen Brooks had been very close to finding a cure before she left. Her research had shown how the disease worked and how to stop it, but her notes were written in a way that only human doctors could understand. On the hospital world of Sanctuary, alien doctors worked day and night trying to understand Dr. Brooks' research. Dr. Zint, a six-legged alien with a large brain, had been studying the human notes for weeks. "The mathematics make sense," Dr. Zint told his team, "but there are gaps in the research." Dr. Brooks understood things about cross-species medicine that we do not. The problem was that humans had spent years learning how different alien species reacted to medicines. Each species was unique, and what helped one might hurt another. Human doctors had built a huge database of this knowledge, but much of it was in their heads, not in books. "We need Dr. Brooks to come back," Dr. Zint said quietly. "Without her, many will die." But Dr. Brooks was on Earth now, working on human medical problems. She could not help the aliens, even if she wanted to. The humans had been banned from alien space. The economic problems were spreading like a disease. Trade routes that had been profitable for decades were now losing money. Captain Roy Patterson had been watching the shipping reports from his desk at Earth's Trade Ministry. The aliens were trying to move cargo between worlds, but they were doing it badly. Human logistics experts had spent years learning the best ways to move things through space. They knew which routes were safe, which planets needed what goods, and when to buy and sell for the best prices. They had created a complex web of trade that made everyone rich. Now that web was falling apart. Alien ships were getting lost in space because they did not know the safe routes. Cargo was arriving late or going to the wrong planets. Prices were going up because no one knew how to move goods efficiently. The Corvin trade empire, which had complained loudest about human business practices, was hit the hardest. Their economy shrank by 40% in just 3 months. Emperor Vex called emergency meetings every day, but no one had good news to share. How did the humans do it? Emperor Vex asked his trade minister. How did they make everything work so well? The trade minister looked through piles of reports and charts. "Your Majesty, I think they understood something we do not. They saw the whole picture, not just individual parts. Humans have been good at seeing connections that others missed. They could predict what would happen in one part of the galaxy based on events in another part. They could solve problems by thinking in new ways that aliens had never considered. On the diplomatic front, old conflicts were starting again. The Draconian Empire and the Aquatic Federation had begun arguing about territory near their border. In the past, human negotiators had helped them solve these problems peacefully. Ambassador Flame of the Draconian Empire breathed fire and anger as he spoke to the council. "The water beings are stealing our mining rights," he roared. "We demand justice." Ambassador Wave of the Aquatic Federation flowed into a defensive shape. "The dragons are being unreasonable. We have legal rights to those waters." Speaker Vorthak tried to mediate between them, but his crystal mind worked very differently from either dragons or water beings. He could not understand why they were so angry about territory that neither could use effectively. Human diplomats had been good at understanding different types of thinking. They could talk to proud dragon warriors and peaceful water beings with equal skill. They found solutions that made everyone happy. Without human mediators, the old prejudices and misunderstandings between species were coming back. Arguments that had been settled years ago were starting again. On Earth, Ambassador Jake Harrison read the reports with sadness but no surprise. He had warned the Council that removing humans would cause problems, but they had not listened. "Sir," his aide Lisa Carter said, "we have received formal requests for help from 17 different alien governments. They want human doctors, engineers, negotiators, and teachers to come back." Harrison looked out the window at Earth's blue sky. Somewhere out there, people were suffering because of the Council's decision, but humanity had to stay strong. "Send them our standard response," Harrison said. "We wish them well, but we cannot provide assistance at this time." The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humans had not been trying to take over or control anyone. They had simply been very good at solving problems, building things, and helping others. Now that they were gone, the problems were piling up faster than anyone could handle. The worst part was that this was only the beginning. The real disasters were still to come. 6 months after the humans had left, the Galactic Council faced its biggest crisis in 100 years. The Draconian Empire and the Aquatic Federation were about to go to war over a small group of planets that neither really needed. But pride and old anger were stronger than common sense. Speaker Vorthack called an emergency meeting. His crystal body was showing stress cracks from all the pressure. The Great Hall was only half full now. Many species were too busy dealing with their own problems to attend council meetings. "We need to stop this war before it starts," Vorthack announced to the remaining delegates. "Both sides have refused our attempts at mediation." Ambassador Keltar of the Vegan Confederacy stood up. He looked tired and worried. "Speaker Vorthack, I must say something that we have all been thinking. We need the humans back." The room became very quiet. For months, everyone had been too proud to admit this truth. But now, with war approaching and their civilization falling apart, someone had finally said it out loud. Senator Krex nodded his blue head in agreement. The humans were always good at stopping wars before they started. They understood how to make both sides happy. Trade Minister Vex of the Centauri Union added, "My economy has collapsed without human help. Our people are suffering. I do not care about pride anymore. I care about survival." Speaker Vorthack made a decision that would change everything. "Very well. We will launch a search operation to find the humans and bring them back to the negotiating table." The search began immediately. Every species contributed ships and crew members to look for signs of human activity in the galaxy. It was the largest search operation in galactic history. Captain Zek of the Corvin Navy commanded one of the search fleets. He was a professional soldier who had fought alongside human troops during the Void War. He had respected human military skills, even when his government was complaining about them. Search Pattern Alpha, Captain Zek ordered his crew, check every system where humans used to live or work. His ships flew to the former human colonies first. They found empty cities, but all the buildings and machines were still working. The automated systems had been running perfectly for months without any human supervision. On New Terra, the farming world, Zek walked through the empty streets of the main city. The houses were clean and in good repair. The farms outside the city were still producing food, harvested by alien workers using machines the humans had left behind. "It is like they just disappeared," Zek told his second-in-command. But they left everything working perfectly. The search teams found the same thing everywhere they looked. Human research stations, mining colonies, trading posts, and military bases were all empty, but operational. It was as if 50 million humans had simply vanished from the galaxy. Commander Sally Peterson watched the search operation from her hidden monitoring post in the asteroid belt around Earth. She had been in charge of human deep space surveys for 10 years. She knew exactly where the aliens were looking, and she knew they would never find what they were seeking. The aliens were searching in all the obvious places. They checked the systems where humans used to live, the trade routes they used to travel, and the space stations they used to operate. But they were looking for humans who wanted to be found. "Sir," Sally's assistant reported, Alien Search Fleet Delta 7 is approaching the Tau Ceti system. They will find the automated beacon we left there. Sally nodded. The humans had left beacons in many systems to make the aliens think they were close to finding something. But the beacons only contained pre-recorded messages that said nothing useful. The truth was much simpler than the aliens could imagine. Every human in the galaxy had gone home to the Sol system. Earth, Mars, the moon bases, the asteroid mining stations, all purely human territory. But the Sol system had become invisible to alien sensors. Dr. Gary Lewis, the former head of the Galactic Communication Network, had spent years preparing for this day. He had built a shield around the entire Sol system that blocked all outside signals. To alien scanners, the Sol system looked empty and dead. How long can we maintain the communication blackout? Gary asked his team on Earth. Indefinitely, sir, his chief engineer replied. The aliens are using the same communication technology we helped them build. We know all their frequencies and scanning methods. Any alien ship that tried to approach the Sol system simply lost contact with their home bases. Their instruments stopped working and their navigation systems failed. Most turned back in fear. The few that continued forward were gently but firmly escorted away by invisible human patrol ships. Back in alien space, the search operation was becoming desperate. Fleet after fleet returned with the same report. No humans found. Captain Zek reported to the Council after 3 months of searching. We have checked over 2,000 systems. We found evidence that humans lived and worked in many places, but no actual humans. It is as if they have left this part of the galaxy completely. The aliens began to consider possibilities that scared them. Had the humans found a new galaxy to live in? Had they developed technology that made them invisible? Had they gone to a part of space that aliens could not reach? Ambassador Keltar suggested the most frightening possibility of all. What if they have gone back to their home system? What if they have decided to cut off all contact with us? Several delegates laughed at this idea. Impossible, said Senator Krex. The Sol system is too small to hold 50 million humans. Besides, we have been monitoring that area. Our sensors show nothing unusual. But Commander Sally Peterson knew better. The Sol system was not too small. In the 6 months since the Exodus began, human engineering had worked miracles. New cities had been built on Mars. Asteroid habitats had been expanded. Ocean cities had been constructed on Earth. The Sol system now held more humans than it ever had before. The aliens sent their best spy ships toward the Sol system. But as soon as they got close, their communications stopped working. The ships that returned reported strange equipment failures and navigation problems. None could get close enough to see what was really happening. Dr. Gary Lewis watched the alien spy ships approach on his screens. They are getting suspicious about Earth, he told his team. Some of them are starting to figure out where we really are. Should we let them get closer? Asked his assistant. No, Gary replied firmly. Earth is a closed system now. They made their choice when they voted against us. Now they must live with the consequences. On the rim worlds, alien governments were becoming desperate. The Aquatic Federation and the Draconian Empire were still moving toward war. Without human mediators, no one could find a solution that both sides would accept. Governor Splash of Aquatica sent a personal message toward Earth, broadcasting on all frequencies. People of Earth, if you can hear this, please help us. We were wrong to vote against you. We need your wisdom to prevent a war. The message reached Earth, but no answer came back. The humans were listening, but they were not responding. Ambassador Jake Harrison read Governor Splash's message in his office on Earth. He felt sad for the old friend who was asking for help. But humanity had learned a hard lesson about galactic politics. Sir, Aide Lisa Carter asked, should we respond to Governor Splash? He always supported human rights in the Council. Harrison looked out at Earth's blue sky. Lisa, we cannot save people who do not want to be saved. The galaxy chose to reject us. Now they must solve their own problems. The search operation continued for another month, but it was hopeless. The aliens were looking for humans who no longer existed in their part of the galaxy. Humanity had not hidden among the stars. They had simply gone home and closed the door behind them. Finally, Speaker Vorthak called off the search. The council had spent an enormous amount of money and time looking for humans who could not be found. The galaxy was no closer to solving its growing problems. The search has failed, Vorthak announced to the nearly empty council chamber. We must accept that the humans are gone and try to solve our problems without them. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. Without human help, their problems were too big to solve. The galaxy was heading toward disaster, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. 1 year after humanity had left alien space, the worst fears of the Galactic Council came true. Dark sensors across the galaxy began detecting something terrible. The void entities were coming back. Admiral Rex of the Galactic Defense Fleet stared at his command screen in horror. The void entities were ancient enemies that attacked from dark space between the stars. They were creatures of shadow and hunger that destroyed everything they touched. For 20 years, they had been quiet, defeated by human-led military campaigns. How many ships? Admiral Rex asked his communications officer. At least 300 void ships, sir. They are attacking the Outer Rim colonies in 17 different systems. Admiral Rex felt his stomach turn cold. The Galactic Defense Fleet had only 200 ships ready for battle. Without human tactical support, they were outnumbered and outgunned. On Earth, Commander Rita Hayes watched the alien military response from her office in the Defense Ministry. She had been the top human military advisor to the Galactic Fleet for 8 years. She knew every alien commander, every ship design, and every battle strategy they used. They are using Formation Delta 7, Rita told her assistant as she watched the alien fleet movements on her screen. That formation is 20 years old. The void entities will tear them apart. Rita had developed new fighting techniques that had kept the void entities away for 2 decades. Human military thinking was different from alien thinking. Humans adapted quickly, tried new ideas, and learned from their mistakes. Alien military commanders followed old rules and ancient traditions. The first battle was a disaster for the aliens. Captain Zek of the Corvin Navy led his fleet into combat, using the standard battle formation his people had used for centuries. The void entities surrounded his ships and destroyed half of them in minutes. Retreat, Captain Zek ordered as his flagship shook from enemy fire. All ships retreat to safe distance. But there was no safe distance from the void entities. They followed the alien ships and continued attacking. By the end of the first battle, 60 alien ships had been destroyed, and only 5 void ships had been damaged. The news spread panic across the galaxy. The void entities were not just attacking military targets. They were destroying entire colonies, eating whole planets, and turning star systems into empty darkness. Commander Rita Hayes wanted to help, but her orders from Earth were clear. Humanity was no longer part of galactic affairs. She could only watch as alien species made the same military mistakes that humans had learned to avoid decades ago. Sir, her assistant said, Admiral Rex is broadcasting on all frequencies asking for human military assistance. He says the galaxy will fall without our help. Rita listened to Admiral Rex's desperate message. She had worked with him for years. He was a good soldier and a decent person, but he represented the same government that had voted to kick humans out of the council. Send our standard reply, Rita said sadly. We wish them well, but we cannot provide assistance. The economic collapse that had been building for months now became a complete disaster. The Corvin trade empire, which had once controlled shipping across half the galaxy, saw their economy shrink by 70%. Without human logistics experts, their supply chains had broken down completely. Emperor Vex called an emergency meeting of his trade ministers. His palace, once filled with wealth from across the galaxy, now felt empty and cold. How bad is it? Emperor Vex asked his chief economist. Your Majesty, we are facing total economic collapse. Our shipping costs have tripled. Our trade agreements are falling apart. Our people are running out of food and medicine. The problem was that humans had not just been workers in the galactic economy. They had been the ones who made the whole system work. They understood how to move goods efficiently, how to predict market changes, and how to solve problems that other species could not imagine. The medical crisis reached its worst point when the Andromedan plague mutated into a new form that could kill members of any species. Dr. Zint and his alien medical team had been trying for months to understand Dr. Helen Brooks' research, but they had failed. "We need the human medical database," Dr. Zint told the Council's Health Committee. "Without Dr. Brooks and her team, we cannot develop new treatments fast enough." The plague spread from world to world. Millions of aliens died who could have been saved if human doctors had been there to help. The medicines that humans had developed could treat the old form of the plague, but not the new mutation. On Mars, Dr. Helen Brooks read the medical reports with tears in her eyes. She knew how to stop the plague. She had been studying it for years and understood it better than anyone in the galaxy. But she could not help the aliens, even if she wanted to. "Ma'am," her assistant said, "we have received over 1,000 requests for medical assistance from alien governments. They are offering huge amounts of money for our help." Dr. Brooks looked out at the red landscape of Mars, where human cities were growing larger every day. "Tell them we cannot provide assistance." They made their choice. The agricultural disaster was just as bad. The automated farms that humans had left behind were starting to fail, without human agricultural experts to maintain them. The complex systems that fed billions of aliens began to break down. On the water world of Aquatica, Governor Splash watched his fish farms die one by one. The human biologists who had designed the farming systems had understood things about marine biology that no alien scientist knew. "Sir," his aide reported, "fish production is down 80%. Our people will start starving within 2 months." Governor Splash had been one of the few alien leaders who had supported human rights in the Council. He had tried to warn the others that rejecting humanity would cause disasters. Now his own people were paying the price for the Council's mistake. "Send another message to Earth." Governor Splash ordered. "Tell them we will give them anything they want. Territory, money, technology. Anything." The message was sent, but like all the others, it received no reply. Earth had become a silent world that no longer spoke to the galaxy that had rejected it. Captain Frank Morrison, monitoring alien communications from his base on Mars, recorded hundreds of desperate messages from alien governments. Some offered money. Others offered territory. A few even offered to make humans the rulers of their worlds. "Sir," Frank's communication officer said, "the Crystalline Collective is offering to give humans control of 3 star systems in exchange for medical help. The Vegan Confederacy is offering half their territory." Frank read through the messages. The same species that had voted to restrict human rights were now begging humans to take control of their governments. "File the messages," Frank said, "but do not respond. Earth's policy is clear." The irony was not lost on human observers. The alien species that had accused humans of being too aggressive and wanting too much power were now literally offering to give humans control of their civilizations. But it was too late. Humanity had moved beyond the need for alien approval or territory. They were building something new in the Sol system, something that did not depend on the cooperation of species that could not be trusted. As the year ended, the galaxy was in chaos. Wars raged between species that had once been allies. Diseases spread unchecked. Economies collapsed. Entire worlds went dark as their populations fled or died. The Galactic Council still met, but only 12 species attended the sessions. The great dream of interstellar cooperation was dying, killed by the same prejudice and fear that had driven humanity away. In the halls of the Council building, which now felt vast and empty, Speaker Vorthak's crystal body showed deep cracks from stress. He had spent a year watching everything he had worked for fall apart. "Perhaps," he said to his aide, "we were wrong about the humans. Perhaps they were not the problem. Perhaps they were the solution." But even this admission came too late. The humans were gone, and they were not coming back. The galaxy would have to face its future without the one species that had been holding everything together. 2 years after the humans had left in silence, Speaker Vorthak stood alone in the great council chamber. The room that had once held representatives from 47 different species now echoed with emptiness. Only 23 species still came to the meetings, and many of those sent junior officials instead of their real leaders. Vorthack's crystal body was covered with stress cracks that ran from his head to his feet. The weight of watching galactic civilization collapse had taken its toll on the ancient being. He had served as speaker for over a century, but he had never seen anything like this. "Call the session to order," Vorthack announced to the nearly empty chamber. His voice, once strong and commanding, now sounded tired and broken. Ambassador Keltar of the Vegan Confederacy took his place as deputy speaker. Half of his people had died from starvation when their farms failed. His own planet was now dependent on food aid from the few worlds that still had working agricultural systems. "Fellow delegates," Keltar began, "we are here to discuss our final attempt to contact humanity and request their return to the galactic community. The situation had become hopeless. The void entities now controlled 1/3 of the galaxy's outer rim. Dozens of worlds had gone dark, their populations either dead or fled. The galactic economy had shrunk to less than half its former size. Medical plagues raged unchecked across multiple star systems. Senator Krex of the Altarian Republic stood up to speak. His blue skin had turned almost white from stress and poor nutrition. His home world was one of the few that still functioned, but even they were struggling. "Honored colleagues," Krex said, "I want to read something to you. This is a list of every major crisis we have faced in the past 2 years, and how humans would have handled it." Krex pulled out a long document that his staff had prepared. The void entity invasion. Humans would have used flexible tactics and adapted quickly to enemy changes. The medical plagues. Human doctors understood cross-species medicine better than anyone. The economic collapse. Human trade experts knew how to make the system work efficiently. He paused and looked around the chamber. The agricultural failures. Human biologists designed most of our food production systems. The diplomatic breakdowns. Human negotiators could talk to any species and find solutions that made everyone happy. The list went on and on. Every problem the galaxy faced was something that humans had been especially good at solving. The aliens had not realized at the time, but humans had been the glue that held their civilization together. Trade Minister Vex of the Centauri Union spoke next. His once powerful trade empire was now reduced to a few struggling colonies. "I have a confession to make," he said quietly. 2 years ago, I voted to restrict human activities because I was jealous of their success. The chamber became very quiet. It was the first time any delegate had admitted the real reason for voting against humanity. "Human traders were making more money than my people," Vex continued. "Human companies were more efficient than ours. I thought that if we limited their activities, my people would have more opportunities. I was wrong. Without human expertise, there are no opportunities for anyone." Other delegates began to share similar confessions. The Corvin representative admitted that they had feared human military technology. The Crystalline Collective had worried that human science was advancing too quickly. The Draconian Empire had been angry that humans were better at diplomacy than they were. One by one, the truth came out. The aliens had not voted against humanity because humans were dangerous or aggressive. They had voted against them because humans were too successful, too innovative, too good at solving problems. "We were afraid of being left behind," Senator Krex said sadly. "So we decided to hold the humans back instead of learning from them. We thought we could take what they had built and run it ourselves." Speaker Vorthack finally called for the vote that everyone knew was coming. "I move that we formally apologize to humanity for our past actions and request their immediate return to the Galactic Council with full restoration of all rights and privileges." The vote was unanimous among the remaining delegates. Even the species that had been most hostile to humans now supported the motion. But the real shock came when they tried to send their message to Earth. They used the most powerful communication array in the galaxy, broadcasting on every frequency known to exist. The message carried the official seal of the Galactic Council and was signed by every remaining member species. The aliens waited for a response. Hours passed, then days. Finally, exactly 24 hours after they had sent their message, a reply came back. The response was broadcast on every communication frequency in the galaxy at the same time. Every alien ship, space station, and planetary communication center received it simultaneously. The voice was calm, professional, and unmistakably human. "This is Ambassador Jake Harrison speaking for the government of Earth and all human colonies." The message began. "The human species acknowledges receipt of the Galactic Council's communication." In the council chamber, every delegate held their breath. "We have reviewed your request for renewed diplomatic relations and your acknowledgement of previous errors in judgment." Harrison continued. "We appreciate your honesty about the reasons for your past actions." Hope began to grow in the hearts of the alien listeners. "However," Harrison said, and that single word crushed their hopes, "humanity has moved beyond the need for galactic community membership. We have built a new civilization in our home system that does not require the approval or cooperation of other species." The alien delegates looked at each other in shock and growing despair. "We thank you for the lessons you taught us about the nature of interstellar politics," Harrison's voice continued. "You showed us that even allies can become enemies when fear and jealousy overcome wisdom. You taught us that depending on others for our survival is a dangerous mistake." Speaker Vortak felt his crystal body crack further as he realized what was happening. "Therefore, we have chosen a different path," Harrison announced. "Earth and all human colonies are now a closed system. We wish you well in your future endeavors, but we will no longer participate in galactic affairs." The final words of the message sent a chill through every alien who heard them. "This will be our final communication on this matter. Any approach within 1 light year of the Sol system will be considered an act of hostility and will be dealt with accordingly." The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in silence. In the council chamber, several delegates began to cry. Others sat in stunned silence. A few tried desperately to send follow-up messages to Earth, but no replies came back. Speaker Vortak's voice was barely a whisper as he spoke to the empty chamber. "We have lost them forever. The humans are not coming back." Ambassador Keltar stood up slowly. "Then we must face the truth. We destroyed the galactic community with our own fear and prejudice. We cast out the one species that made it all possible." The Galactic Council continued to meet for a few more months, but it was meaningless now. The grand vision of interstellar cooperation was dead. The species that remained were too weak, too specialized, and too divided to face the challenges of a hostile universe alone. On Earth, Jake Harrison finished his final message to the galaxy and turned off the communication equipment. Through his office window, he could see the blue sky of Earth and the construction sites where new cities were rising. Humanity had learned the most important lesson of all. They did not need the approval of others to build a great civilization. They had been invited to join the galactic community, and they had contributed everything they could. When that community rejected them, they had simply gone home and built something better. The day humanity left in silence had marked the beginning of the Council's deepest regret. But for humanity, it had marked the beginning of something new, something independent, and something that would endure long after the last Galactic Council session ended in failure. In the Sol system, behind barriers that no alien technology could penetrate, humanity quietly built their future. They had no need for the species that had rejected them. They had each other, and that was enough.